F1 and ITV, sponsored by LG.
Tidy, the car looks beautiful, over the line it goes, and it is pole by a quarter of a second, and Flavio knows they've done a great job this weekend.
It's Alonso's Renault on pole, facing a three-way British challenge from BAR's Jenson Button and racing rookie Anthony Davidson. The rejuvenated David Coulthard's Red Bull is also a very spicy element in Malaysia. The Sepang F1 circuit, just to the south of the capital Kuala Lumpur, provides a savage all-round test. They pride themselves on staging the world's hottest race. Good morning to you all back home. Well done for joining us live. We are 8 hours ahead of you here. The temperature has just dropped to 37 degrees here in the paddock, 50 out there on the circuit. Mark, just the second of 19 races this season. How tough's this race day going to be?
I think for me, past driver, and all those guys are out there in pit lane at the moment, this is going to be the toughest day on the calendar. These guys are going to lose about 4 pounds in body weight by the end of this Grand Prix.
It's going to be really tough going Hell's Kitchen with all the cookers on. Let's bring you right up to date with qualifying. 2 sessions. Remember, the aggregate times decide the grid. Let's join James Allen and Martin Brundle.
So the first proper qualifying session of the 2005 season, and as we expected, some very small gaps between the cars, just 9 100ths between Trulli and Alonso at the front. No margin for error for any of them in the second session.
No, and we've had consistent weather and track conditions too, so we're really going to see how this new format for 2005 unfolds. It's really been close and challenging. The biggest challenge though surely was for Anthony Davidson, a special guest star arriving in the car just Saturday morning.
So here we go then, Anthony Davidson, very important lap for him. This is the second qualifying session. His time from this session will be added to his time from the first session.
Right, come on Anthony, stand up in the seat and drive the wheels off this thing. He's got to be within a few tenths of Button's time, plus or minus whatever fuel compensation there turns out to be. A bit of a run to the finish line then. He goes over that line in a 1:37 flat.
No points on the board yet in 2005 for Michael Schumacher.
He's got no rear grip, even in turns 5 and 6, where normally that thing looks like an Intercity Express on rails, bolted to the ground. It was sliding, so Michael Schumacher really struggling with the handling of that Ferrari.
This has been a better lap from David Coulthard. First and second sectors, let's hear him into the final corner, onto the brakes, down through the gears. Picking it up out of the hairpin across the start-finish line goes Coulthard. This is going to be comfortably quicker than the Ferraris. 1.8 seconds, so he took an awful lot out of them in that final sector. That's an extraordinary difference.
These Michelin tyres are hanging on nicely through these long corners, aren't they? But Webber had a significant advantage in his pocket at the start of this lap over the Red Bulls, and surely now, other than out-braking himself into the final hairpin, is going to be taking provisional pole.
Well, he was the fastest man through the final sector in free practice going into the qualifying sessions yesterday, so he knows his way around sector 3. This shouldn't have been too costly for him. Across the line he goes, Webber fastest. So after the rather misshapen qualifying sessions of Melbourne 2 weeks ago, affected by the rain with big gaps between the cars going into the second session, here in Malaysia we've got much smaller gaps between the cars. What's Button done? He crosses the line, he's lost time in the final sector.
Fisichella then with the all-important turn 14 ahead of him, once again bringing the nose in very early. Tends to compromise your exit a little bit if you're not careful. You have to get on the throttle a little touch later or introduce more traction control. This is nip and tuck. This is qualifying 2. The times are aggregated with yesterday's qualifying 1, and Fisichella is all about trying to add up 3 sectors to put him on provisional pole against Mark Webber at the moment, and he does it. And he's the fastest man in the final sector. He pulled it out of the bag.
There is not many people faster in Formula One over a single lap than Jarno Trulli, an absolute specialist in qualifying, as he's shown many times. Started from the front row of the grid at the first Grand Prix in Australia. He's certainly going to be well up the grid at this Grand Prix here in Sepang. It looks like it'll be another front row for him. One more car to go after him is the crucial one of Alonso. Is this the pole lap from Jarno Trulli? It's certainly fast. He takes half a second out of Giancarlo Fisichella, and he throws the gauntlet down to Fernando Alonso. So here's Fernando Alonso defying expectations. Toyota tried to nick the pole off Renault, possibly Trulli running a little bit light. Maybe Renault saw that coming and they've done something a bit different. Alonso certainly is putting in a super lap.
Only 2 men have ever sat on pole here, Michael Schumacher and this young Spaniard Fernando Alonso. Surely he's got enough to get it on pole again today. Neat, tidy, the car looks beautiful, balanced, ready to go on the exit. Over the line he goes, and indeed, surely it is pole by a quarter of a second, and Flavio knows they've done a great job this weekend. The hardest part still yet to come.
Hopefully we have a normal race, no mistakes in the strategy, no mistakes in the track. The start, not problems in the first corner, and if nothing happens, I think I can be in the fight.
Confirm our strength and our performance, so I must be very happy for myself, but especially for the Toyota team, which is working very hard.
The race is going to be a tough race, very long race, so everything could happen.
Well, that was a real game of jeopardy, wasn't it? Just proving there's an awful lot to be won and lost on Sunday morning. Great laps from Klein and Coulthard as the Red Bulls moved up 3 places on the grid. Also Mark Webber, perhaps taking a little bit of fuel out to move up 2 places on the grid. But what about the performance of McLaren and Ferrari in that session?
Well, disappointing is the only word you can think of. They may be running more fuel than some of the others, but the McLarens looked a bit of a handful. Ferrari don't appear to have the tyres or the speed to be anywhere this afternoon, and normally they absolutely dominate here. It's going to be a challenging afternoon for those 2 Ferrari drivers, but Fernando Alonso looked absolutely exceptional this morning. He built on yesterday's fastest lap time, and the car was beautifully balanced all around the lap, and here we see him down at turn 7 and 8 and doing so little work behind the wheel. James, it's always the case that a quick lap looks so easy and feels so easy to the driver. You think, where are the others today? Because this one just fell into my hands.
He only had 9/100ths of a second in his pocket going into this lap. Trulli had put in a fantastic performance. And you do wonder what's going on there with fuel as well. Big margins between him and Fisichella. There's an awful lot to play for this afternoon with those 3 front runners, isn't there?
Yeah, that's the big question. Did Alonso just stand up in the seat and excel, or has he got less fuel? I can't imagine his engineers would compromise him too much at all. He may just have been a sliver of fuel shorter than Fisichella, but we'll find out, won't we?
I'm not sure he can push as hard though here as he did in Melbourne. He was pushing very hard in the race there. Fisichella had it under control. He's going to have to be careful he doesn't destroy his tyres this afternoon, Alonso.
It's all about the start.
Fernando Alonso takes his 4th career pole position. Jarno Trulli's 2nd consecutive front row for Toyota. Giancarlo Fisichella in 3rd. Mark Webber makes big improvements in the Williams. Ralf Schumacher 5th. Kimi Räikkönen a little bit frustrated with his McLaren. 7th position goes to Klein. Very impressive performance out qualifying his more experienced teammate David Coulthard. Button there in 9th. Troubles for him. Heifeld in the Williams, 10th spot, 11th for Montoya, 5 spots down from Kimi Raikkonen. Barrichello, the first of the Ferraris. The current world champion, 13th. Massa, 14th, not particularly happy. 15th spot for Davison. This is a big opportunity for him. Pressure mounting on Villeneuve in 16th. Carter Cayenne in 17th, 18th for Montero. 19th and 20th goes to Frisacker and Albers in the Minardis.
Well, Anthony, you proved to everybody last year in Friday sessions that you're quick, but racing is a different matter, isn't it? This is very important for you.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into turn 1 to show them all wrong. You know, I'm really looking forward to the race. We've got some pretty good guys directly ahead of me, i.e. Michael. So no, it's going to be interesting. But you know, I'm up for it. I'm ready.
Any nerves?
Oh, of course. You know, I've always got nerves for a race, whatever race it is. You know, be it an indoor go-kart race or a Formula 1 race. So it's a good thing to have nerves.
Have fun.
Thanks.
He's up for it. That is good to hear. I have to tell you, it's got very cloudy and overcast. A bit of smoke in the air as well down here in the paddock as we count down towards the start of the race. A word from you about Anthony Davidson, Mark Blundell. How big an opportunity is this for him?
This is a huge opportunity for Anthony. There's been a lot of talk of him, especially the last 12 months or so, that they'd like to slot him into another team. BAR actually wouldn't even release him to go to another team, but if he does a good showcase today, he can certainly get himself a good position.
He's starting 15th on the grid. What would represent success for him today?
Well, it's all relative to Jenson Button. If he can make sure that he tabs Jenson, he gets a good consideration in terms of lap time against him, then he's done the job. But if he gets in the top 6, wonderful.
Jenson Button got his first podium of his career here last year. He starts 9th this time round. Here he is with Ted Kravitz.
Well, he hasn't just stepped out of a shower, but you certainly look like it. What's wrong with you? It's a lovely day for a motor race.
That sweat. It's good actually. The sun's gone in, which is nice. Normally when we're on the grid here, it's baking hot because the sun's out, but got a bit of a breeze, so it's not too bad.
How do you think you're going to go? Okay.
We'll wait and see. But I'm quietly confident that we've got a good package for the race, so we'll have to wait and see. But first of all, we've got to get past the Red Bulls.
Thanks, gents.
It's a mega test of man and machine this. For the first time, the engines have to last through a second race. The tyres have to go the full distance too on a surface that can carve lumps out of them. We have Alonso on pole, Renault teammate, Melbourne winner Fisichella sandwiching Trulli's Toyota. Webber's Williams on the second row. The Brits Coulthard and Button making the top 10. A massive test for Anthony Davidson on his BAR racing debut. Michael Schumacher is 13th. We are raring to go.